Franklin Delano Roosevelt's Presidency Analysis. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, widely known by his initials, FDR, was the 32nd President of the United States. He is the only American leader, so far, elected 4 times into office, thus becoming the longest-serving president in U.S. history to date. FDR was a central figure in American history, leading 20th-century America during a turbulent economic crisis and World War. This paper aims to discuss and evaluate FDR's performance, contributions, and accomplishments as President of the United States, justifying why he is considered as one of the best presidents who served the country and its people. FDR created and established the New Deal, led the people during World War II, and made a great impact on American foreign relations. In 1933, when FDR was first elected to the presidential office, the United States was in the worst economic crisis in its history. The Great Depression took a toll on the U.S. economy. It was prominent in the number of the workforce unemployed. Prices fell by 60% in agriculture, productions in the industrial sector have fallen more than half since 1929, about 2 million of the population were homeless, and 32 of the 48 states have closed their banks. Roosevelt addressed these problems with the creation and establishment of the New Deal. It was a series of economic programs focused on the 3 R's: relief, recovery, and reform. For his relief campaign, Roosevelt targeted the problems of unemployment and the growing population of the poor while. For the recovery campaign, he sought out strategies to bring back the normal level of the economy. Lastly, with his reform program, he organized policies and systems of finance and banking to prevent the crash of stock markets, which may result in another outbreak of the financial crisis. In the late 1970s, although the New Deal regulation of transportation, banking, and communications was ended, several New Deal programs remained active to date, namely the Social Security system and the Securities and Exchange Commission. In his 3rd term serving as President of the United States, Roosevelt's policies were geared more toward the growing tensions of war. He slowly began to rearmament as early as 1938, despite the criticisms of his leaders. Roosevelt was an avid supporter of the Allied powers. He assisted the British and French military when war broke out in 1939, thus rejecting the Wilsonian neutrality stance. Initially, FDR only gave secret aid to the cancellation of arms embargo provisions of the Neutrality Act, but when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, Roosevelt declared war against the Empire of Japan. The attack destroyed 16 warships and killed almost 3,000 Americans. During the war, though FDR's primary concern was no longer focused on domestic issues, unemployment dropped by 2%, and in 1941 it had fallen under 1 million. The industrial economy swiftly grew with the military built up, prompting economic growth. The New Deal relief programs came to an end during the war when millions of people relocated to war centers and rendered military services. FDR forged great relationships with powerful figures such as Winston Churchill of the United Kingdom, Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union, and other important leaders of the Allied Party. After the war, the United States foreign relations flourished because of Roosevelt's close affiliations with powerful Allied leaders who had the same goal as he did in promoting and establishing world peace and democracy. He was one of the founding members of the United Nations. He spearheaded the implementation and cooperation of states in the international realm to promote peace and harmony. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's legacy is evident in the rapid expansion of government programs during his time in office. This redefined the role of the U.S. government to date. He salvaged the U.S. economy with his New Deal programs, making the country one of the richest nations of his time. Roosevelt established the United States' role in the world as a superpower and great leader when he financed members of the Allied group during World War II. Lastly, FDR forged close relations with other leaders, which boosted U.S. foreign relations throughout the world. If there is one great lesson we could learn from this president, it would be his persistent optimism and activism, which according to scholars, contributed to the rejuvenation of national spirit among the American people. Comparing the present situation of the U.S. economy today and that of President Roosevelt when he first came to office is very similar. the current President Obama must seek inspiration in drafting out his strategies and base his policies on eradicating unemployment, poverty, and the overall financial crisis to that of FDR during the Great Depression. What FDR showed and taught the world was that anything is possible even in the worst given situation.